Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at the pharmaceutical industry, which is right in the middle of this huge necessary shift. We call it Pharma 4.0.
Right.
And look, this isn't just, an IT department thing. It's a total transformation. Think data, automation, AI.
Everything.
But here's the catch, right? The actual people, the expertise needed to make this new world function, well, it's lagging behind.
Yeah.
We saw this startling figure, 70% of pharma professionals, they currently lack the essential digital skills. 70%.
That skills gap, honestly, it's probably the single biggest bottleneck holding back innovation right now.
Okay.
So today we're doing a deep dive, really trying to map out what success looks like.
Okay.
We've dug into the research, and it covers the whole spectrum from like basic digital competence, the real foundational stuff, all the way up to the skills you need to lead, a massive digital transformation program.
So our mission today is...
Our mission is basically to give you a shortcut, a strategic roadmap to understand these competencies.
And we're not just listing buzzwords here, right? We need to do why these skills matter, what the payoff actually is.
Exactly.
So the evidence we've looked at, it seems to cover about 5 key areas.
That's right. We've got core digital literacy, then those specialized advanced technical skills. Crucially, the leadership needed to drive the change, regulatory know-how in this new context, and finally, how training itself is innovating to try and close that 70% gap we mentioned.
Okay.
It's really tempting to just jump to the flashy tech, AI, digital twins.
Sure is.
But the core lesson, again and again from the sources, is that if you don't nail the basics, all that advanced stuff, it's pretty much useless in practice.
Okay, let's start right there then. The foundational layer. Before we get to AI, before quantum computing even, what are those fundamental, absolutely essential digital skills the sources say are driving success early on?
It really starts with solid digital literacy, just plain and simple, meaning basic competence in things like modern data management, using digital tools to collaborate, and critically, handling electronic documents correctly.
Okay.
The research is pretty clear on this. Organizations that really prioritize this foundational strength, they see up to a 90% success rate when they implement their initial digital projects. That's huge.
90% success just by getting the basics right.
It's where competence directly translates into, well, immediate and predictable wins.
Now, here's something I found really interesting. We always hear about speed, efficiency, but this link between basic digital skills and core compliance, the research showed, 80% of documentation errors?
Yeah, a staggering 80%.
And these aren't because people are trying to cheat the system or don't understand the rules. It's because they lack the digital documentation skill.
That's such a critical insight. It totally reframes the conversation. It's not just about efficiency anymore. It's about patient safety. It's about regulatory risk.
Right.
So when we talk core competencies here, we're talking about really mastering systems like electronic batch record management, EBRM.
EBRM. And just to clarify for everyone, that's not just scanning paper docs, is it?
Oh, not at all. No. Think of EBRM as the complete shift from, those physical logbooks and binders
Yeah, the binder.
to secure, dynamic digital manufacturing records. Professionals who get this right can enable up to 95% paperless manufacturing operations.
95% paperless.
And again, it's not just about saving trees. It's about real-time data integrity, being audit-ready instantly. These are absolute must-haves for global regulators.
Okay, so it sounds like these foundational skills are really about data hygiene, compliance, building a stable platform.
Exactly, a solid base to build everything else on.
So if we have that foundation, how do we climb up the complexity ladder? What about those really specialized technical skills for Pharma 4.0?
Right, so now we shift focus. We move from good documentation practices to designing intelligent processes. Process automation is often the starting point. That drives about 75% of the immediate productivity gains you see. But after that, there are really 3 major technical competencies that have to come together for real transformation.
All right, let's walk through those 3 because this feels like where the real step change happens in manufacturing.
Okay, first up, IoT sensors and real-time monitoring. Think of this as the nervous system of the smart factory.
Okay.
Professionals need really specialized skills here. Selecting the right sensors, deploying them correctly, and this is key interpreting the massive flood of data that comes off them.
For things like predicting maintenance.
Exactly. Predictive maintenance is a huge one. This knowledge is the bedrock for intelligent systems, and interestingly, it also boasts a high, around 90% implementation success rate when done right.
So getting the data flowing is one thing, but the value is in knowing how to read that stream. Makes sense. What's the next major competency?
That leads us straight into digital twin technology.
Ah, digital twins. Heard a lot about these.
Yeah, and the core competency here is about creating, maintaining, and then constantly optimizing these virtual copies of, well, pretty much anything. Manufacturing lines, specific machines, even entire R&D workflows.
And its strategic point here is,
The research suggests that 90%, another big number, 90% of the efficiency gains you expect from investing in a digital twin, they depend entirely on having skilled operators, people who are proficient in modeling techniques and complex simulation analysis.
so if you drop millions on the software for a digital twin, but you don't invest in the people who can actually model with it.
Then that twin is basically just a fancy 3D picture. It's static.
Right, not predictive.
Exactly. Becomes a glorified visualization tool. You miss out on the real strategic value, the predictive optimization, the scenario planning, all of that.
Okay. And the final piece of this tech puzzle.
The final piece, unsurprisingly, is AI and machine learning, ML. And this one directly tackles that critical, long-standing problem of R&D productivity.
AI, it gets talked about in such huge, almost abstract ways sometimes. What are the specific skills people actually need here? It's not like everyone needs to become an AI developer, right?
Not at all. It's much more about applying the AI, not necessarily building it from scratch.
Okay.
So competencies include things like using AI tools to screen potential drug candidates much faster, using it to optimize manufacturing process controls in real time, and applying specialized ML.
Like for that predictive maintenance example.
Precisely. For instance, ML is crucial for getting, say, 85% of the potential benefits from preventive maintenance. It can spot these tiny, subtle patterns of equipment wear and tear that a human might miss,
Long before something actually breaks down.
long before a catastrophic failure. These skills essentially transform data overload into actual foresight you can act on.
Mm.
But this brings us right back to those pervasive skill gaps. 50% of companies are reporting critical shortages in these advanced areas.
50%. So if the tech is maturing, why is adoption still lagging so much?
And the answer that comes up again and again in the research,
Yeah.
it's usually not the tech stack itself. It's the human element. It's leadership and the company's cultural strategy.
That leadership statistic you mentioned earlier was pretty sobering. 90% of digital initiatives fail without skilled leadership.
90%. It's huge.
Yeah.
And it tells you the failure point isn't typically technical. It's organizational. It's about people.
So what does that digital transformation leadership actually look like? What skills define it?
Well, it requires a specific leadership toolkit, really rooted in change management strategies, knowing how to engage all the different stakeholders effectively.
Right, because you've got very different groups involved.
Exactly. Leaders need to act almost like translators. They have to bridge the gap between the super technical teams and, say, the commercial or regulatory folks who are naturally more risk averse.
Makes sense.
They need to build confidence across the organization, show a clear ROI, and really understand how to navigate the cultural currents of an industry that's, frankly, built on caution.
Yeah, that cultural aspect is key. And speaking of bridging gaps, I think we can all relate to just drowning in data these days. These new systems produce so much information.
Oh, absolutely.
So that convergence point where human potential meets the technology, it often boils down to communication, doesn't it?
It really does. Having petabytes of data is, well, useless if you can't translate the insights from that data into a story the business can understand and act on.
Okay.
So skills like data visualization and, maybe more importantly, data communication are now absolutely strategic must-haves. This is why the research really emphasizes storytelling with data.
Storytelling with data, what's the difference between that and just, showing someone a dashboard?
That's a great question. Look, presenting a dashboard basically shows you what happened.
Okay.
Storytelling with data, that compels you to take action based on why it happened and what you should do next. It's about driving action. This skill set ensures that the analytical insights don't just sit there, they actually fuel organizational action. And it demands collaboration. Technical teams need to articulate findings clearly.
And the other teams, clinical, regulatory, commercial, and production, they need enough digital literacy to grasp the implications, right?
Exactly. That ongoing dialogue, that's the key to becoming truly agile as an enterprise.
So if this skills gap is so urgent, and we know the traditional university pipeline is maybe a bit slow to adapt, what are the really innovative, effective training methods the industry is using right now? How are they trying to fix this?
Well, the industry is definitely moving fast towards more immersive and agile learning approaches to really shrink that time to competency.
Okay.
And the sources show some pretty remarkable performance numbers, especially for things like virtual reality, VR, and immersive learning.
VR training. What makes that so much better than, say, sitting in a classroom or reading a manual?
The immersion factor seems to significantly boost retention and, crucially, accuracy, particularly for complex hands-on manufacturing tasks.
How much better?
The data shows around a 74% improvement in performance and an 87% improvement in accuracy compared to traditional methods.
Wow. 74% and 87%. Those are huge jumps.
They are. But here's maybe the most striking strategic benefit. For certain complex new equipment operations, VR training cut the required training time from, get this, 9 months
9 months, that's almost a year.
down to just 2 months.
Wow.
Or-
That's not just learning faster. That's 7 extra months of productive output from that employee.
Precisely. And that translates directly into multi-million-dollar savings. You save on training time, you waste less material during that learning curve, and your operations get up to speed much, much faster.
Okay, so VR is one big innovation. What else?
Alongside that, we're seeing huge adoption of mobile learning or micro-learning. This approach is apparently favored by about 90% of professionals in pharma,
Why so popular?
because the content is delivered in these short, focused bursts, usually like 5 to 10-minute modules.
Ah, so it fits into a busy day. You don't need to block out a whole afternoon for training.
Exactly. It caters to busy schedules, fits different learning styles, and actually seems to improve long-term knowledge retention by spacing the learning out over time.
Right, space repetition.
That's the idea. And when you connect these training advances back to the bottom line, the ROI for developing these digital skills becomes really undeniable.
Okay, so beyond just learning better and faster, what are the big financial takeaways?
Well, the strategic wins are clear, right? Faster time to market for new drugs, smoother regulatory compliance. Digital reviews can apparently speed up approvals by as much as 60%.
60% faster approvals. That's significant.
Hugely significant. But financially, when you add it all up, the shorter training time, the higher accuracy, less material wasted during ramp-up, the sources suggest pharma companies can save up to $95,000 per skilled operator.
$95,000 per person.
Per trained operator. That's a massive return on investment. It really justifies making competency building a core strategic priority, not just an HR function. And if we zoom out and connect this to the even bigger picture, the required skill set isn't static. It's constantly evolving, already expanding beyond what we think of as Pharma 4.0 today.
Right.
Meaning we're starting to see demand emerge for skills related to technologies that sound almost sci-fi, like quantum computing applications.
Quantum computing in pharma. Okay, that sounds like a real jump into the deep end. What does a pharma professional actually need to know about quantum?
Well, it's not about becoming a quantum physicist overnight. It's more about understanding the applications. It requires this specialized blend of mathematical competence and a deep understanding of molecular biology.
Right, what can quantum do?
Because quantum computers, with their incredible calculation speed, they open up totally new possibilities for molecular simulation. Think about designing new drugs, predicting how they'll interact in the body with incredible accuracy, potentially reducing the need for some long, expensive physical trials.
So it could dramatically speed up R&D.
Potentially, yes. This isn't just theoretical anymore. It's starting to emerge as a real competitive advantage.
And alongside that really high-end theoretical work, I guess we're also seeing growth at the other end, more practical skills needed on the factory floor.
Absolutely. Things like autonomous systems integration. We're talking robots, automated guided vehicles, integrating these safely and effectively into a highly regulated GXP environment.
Right, so that demands practical skills and system design, safety analysis, making sure the robots comply with regulations.
Exactly. It's a whole different set of engineering and validation challenges.
The sheer speed of all this change, it feels like the ultimate challenge here. We know 50% of companies are already reporting shortages.
Right, which tells you that the technology is moving faster than our educational systems and internal training programs can keep up.
Yeah.
And the sources, they really hammer this point home. Yes, advanced tech like AI, IoT, digital twins, they promise incredible efficiencies. But the real bottleneck, it's almost never the technology itself.
It's us.
It's the human capacity, the ability to lead the change, adopt the new tools, and just manage the sheer complexity of it all.
So this requires more than just clicking through some training modules. It's a whole mindset shift.
It has to be. Remember that stat. 90% of digital initiatives fail without skilled leadership. So the core challenge isn't just building the smartest AI or the fanciest automated production line.
It's building the people.
It's building the confidence, the competence, and crucially, the strategic mindset of the people who have to use and direct that technology every day.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with maybe a final provocative thought to chew on.
Yeah, think about this. Given these huge organizational hurdles, these competency gaps we've talked about, where in your own professional life right now are you seeing the biggest, most challenging disconnect between what the technology could do, its potential,
Yeah.
and the actual readiness of your team, your organization, to embrace it and make it work?